and 1 column for common. Now, what happens with this is, let me kind of, I'll just move reverse down here. What they have is we have 7.5% times $10 times 40,000 shares. So this is the par. That means that the shareholders are due $30,000. Okay? So in other words, there's 40,000 shares out with a $10 par, and each share and each share gets 7.5% of par. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, in the first year, they declared $10,000. So when they did that, the preferred got the whole $10,000, common get the remainder, which is 0. And so the total for a year is the preferred got 10,000 and the common got 0. Now, 2012. Now in this case, because it's non-cumulative, right? There's no arrears. Does that make sense? Okay. So now in 2012, they have a $24,000 dividend. You guys want to do that one? And this is non-cumulative. So again, the whole thing goes to the preferred, right? Okay. You guys okay with that? The next year now they have a $100,000 dividend. So 30,000 goes to the preferred, and 70,000 goes to the common. That makes sense?
Can I see math? I'm sorry.
See what?
Can I see the math for it? It's like, is there supposed to be math that goes with it, or is there something else?
Well, here we go. See if this is, so when you say the math, don't forget, as far as the math goes, no, it's very simple math.
Okay.
It's because, now you see where they get the $30,000, they get the $30,000, right?
Here, or no? I have no idea.
What's that?
No, I'm lost. I'm sorry.
You're lost. All right. So here's the deal. What this is that 40,000 shares have been sold, right?
Right.
And it's $10 par,
Right.
and each shareholder will get 7.5% of par.
Okay.
So 7.5% of $10 times 40,000 shares. So that means the total dividend due to the preferred is 30,000. And I appreciate your question. So in this case, I had it written down someplace. Here. Now, first of all, Angela, can I check the okay on that?
Yeah, I think it's just going to take more time.
Okay. Yeah.
Why didn't you do that for the first 2 years?
Well, we did, but the only is what happened, the dividend they declared, it's less than 30,000. So the whole thing went to preferred.
Oh, I get it. We were saying like the baseline, right?
The baseline, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's where I missed.
But I'm not sure Mariah gets it.
I think so.
Okay, next year, again, they declare 24,000, it's below the 30, so the whole thing goes to the preferred. Now, in neither case there's any arrears because it's non-cumulative, it doesn't accumulate.
Okay.
The next year, they declare $100,000. Well, now the preferred get their full dividend, and what's left over goes to the common.
I see.
And again, there's no arrears because it's non-cumulative. And the next year, they have 196,000, so it's 30 to preferred, the remainder to common. Yeah.
So why are you saying 30,000 is the cap for?
Well, that's what it says. What this saying is when okay, let me, what I'm doing is going back 3 steps, and I'm not throwing too many details here. What it says is preferred stock has a preference to dividends, but there's a cap in that preference. What it says is that if a dividend is declared, you're due 7.5% of par, is what that problem says.
So then, the step one in this would be, you take the shares times the percent times par to get your
Exactly.
number.
And that's 30,000. Okay. And then the preferred gets the 30,000, anything above that goes to common. Yeah,
Oh, that's funny, we didn't realize this, and we realized that, is this what they use when they sign in, as like a new CEO, part of the bonus, they'll give them like preferred shares, but they won't be able to cash in until like 3 or 5 years down the road, and
all right, Justin, we'll see you Wednesday. No, it's more the idea that you're an investor, right? So what happens in this thing is the people who buy preferred stock are like retirees who want dividends as a net income. And so, and they also want more security in common shares. So what they do is they buy preferred stock because they, if a dividend's declared, they'll get it. And if the company goes belly up, they have more security. But it's more the type of investor.
also anybody can buy preferred.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's not, okay, I thought there was like for CEOs and stuff like that.
Now, let's say what you want is, suppose you don't really particularly want more money, right? Rather, you'd like your nest egg to increase, maybe you'd buy the common shares. Because common shares have a greater ability to increase in value. And you don't want a dividend because it just puts you in a different tax bracket. But what you want is your wealth to increase. So you buy common shares, you open up the Wall Street Journal every day to see how it went, and they each common share will increase in value. And so it's more the type of investor
Okay,
than anything. And that this is more like, someone who's retired would be more inclined to do this because they want the cash flow. Somebody who doesn't want more, what they want to do is increase their wealth, would be more inclined to buy a common stock because it does increase in value. All right. Okay. Now, let's go and do 13.9. Now, 13.9 is the same set of data, but now it's cumulative. So what happens when it's cumulative, I'll show you. When it's cumulative, so, and I think rather than write it out, I think I'll put it up here. And Angelica, you let me know if it, because it's sometimes better if you see it worked out, but maybe you can let me know if this is working out okay.
No, see, all I was missing was like that first calculation becomes the baseline.
Yeah, okay.
And then that really helps to understand that.
All right. Now this is just taking it one more step. This says it's cumulative. So what happens here is, again, there's a $10,000 dividend. All $10,000 goes to the preferred, but now there's a $20,000 in arrears. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So next year, when they declare a $24,000, again, all 24 goes to the preferred, but the way that works is 4,000 is arrears from last year, 20,000 is this year, so now they're $10,000 in arrears for the next year.
So they can only go up to 30,000.
I'm sorry, right, exactly. Well, no, I think, Mariah, it's more the point that if they don't pay the 30,000, the difference to what they do get and the 30,000 is arrears. And that arrears keeps carrying forward, and the common stock won't get a penny until it's paid off. Yeah.
So they have to pay the arrears first.
Arrears get paid first. So back here, when they declared 24, so what they did is there was 20,000 in arrears from the previous year, right? Because in the previous year, they only paid 10 and they owed 20. Does that sound right? Okay. Then there was 4,000 left over. That was for the year 2012, and now they're 26,000 in arrears. So yeah.
So how do you come up with 4,000? Because I mean, I see where the 20,000 is from the previous year.
Sure. Well, because it's a $24,000 dividend, right?
Right.
And $20,000 are in arrears. So they pay the arrears first. what's left over is 4 because it's 24. Now,
And they don't have to show that that payment was made? Or because it was just issued in paper and it doesn't apply? How come you don't have to account for the 20,000 that was paid out?
well, you're accounting for it here. Because what this says is, it's paid accounted here, so let me see if this is helpful. In the 2012, a $24,000 dividend was declared by the board, okay? Now, the first, of the $24,000 dividend, the first 20,000 of that goes for paying arrears from the previous year. What's left over is 4,000 for the 2012. And now they're $26,000 in arrear because they were due 30 and they only got paid 4. So next year, when they declare a $100,000 dividend, 26 is arrears from the previous year, 30,000 is for the current year, the remainder now goes to the common. So just to kind of sum up, it's cumulative in this example. Now that it's cumulative, okay, then they're due 30,000. If they pay anything less than that, the difference becomes arrears, and the common stock don't get a penny until all those arrears are paid off. So the first thing they do is they pay the arrears for preferred. Anything left over goes to the preferred. Because this is $26,000 less than the 30, it carries forward to the next year. Now they're all paid off.
How come you don't have to show the arrears within the year that it was generated?
It's paid the following year.
So just your note,
So
your
what
note is
you're
the only
saying-
thing?
Yeah, well, in this case, note 20,000 preferred stock, this says they're in arrears here in the note.
So just by having that, that's gonna be
Yeah.
the tally to go forward.
That'll be the tally. Now they're $26,000 in arrear. And then down here, now there's no arrears in 2014, so 30 goes to preferred, and there's no arrears to be paid off. Is that a hand up, Addie?
Yes. So the arrears, is that an account that carries over? It's a
Mhm.
permanent account?
No, it's not
Or is
a
it just a
permanent, it's
note?
not an actual account. It's something that will be disclosed in,
Your financial records?
it is disclosed in the annual report, but it's not an account name. It's something that they keep track of. It is disclosed.
It's a liability?
No, it's not a liability. And the reason it's not a liability, but it's something, it's not a liability. But what it is part of the contractual agreement. A liability means they owe it, and they don't owe it until it's declared. You see, what it is, yeah, it's not a liability, just because, now when they declare a dividend, that declaration makes the dividend a liability. But arrears is not a liability because they simply don't owe it. At the end of 2011, they don't owe anybody anything in the way of a dividend. So it's not a liability. Yeah,
So if they don't declare a dividend, they don't owe anybody anything?
exactly.
So they could, that person could have like preferred arrears forever. if they
Exactly.
never-
Mhm. If they never declared another dividend, this $20,000 in arrears would be there till the company folded.
And then would they have to pay it? Or
Uh-uh.
just-
No,
It would keep increasing though, wouldn't it?
and it would keep
Each year.
increasing. Next year, if they never paid it next year, it would increase to 50, then it would increase to 80, then increase to 110. All that means is until all those arrears were paid, the common stockholders will never get a dime. Yes.
Where did you get the 30,000 in 2013?
Well, here's what, now, first of all, what the 30,000 represents, let me go back here one step. So where they're getting that is, and I hope I'm not throwing too many details here, but the indenture is the name of the, when you buy stock, it's really a contractual relationship between you and the corporation, right? The name of the piece of paper is called an indenture. That's what they call the contract, is an indenture. So the contract says the dividend that's due the preferred will be 7.5% of par. Okay, and so 7.5% of $10 is the amount per share times 40,000 shares. That comes to the $30,000. So $30,000 is in total is due to the preferred shareholders.
Whether or not they declared it.
Exactly. And if they declare it, this is what's due.
They'll get paid.
If, okay?
But if they don't declare it, does that still go into the
Nothing.
arrears account?
Yep. If they don't declare it.
And then they
Then-
declare one later, then they have to pay all of them
Exactly.
for all the missing years.
If it's cumulative,
Yeah.
if the indenture says it's cumulative, then it
Right.
keeps accumulating,
Mm.
okay? And it's not a liability. Can I check back with you, Mariah? Can I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, good. You guys doing good? All right. Should we take our 10-minute break?
Yeah.